Amazon's profits have more than tripled in the last 2 years, and it isn't because people love buying stuff from their website. The rise in profits is partly due to the company's government contracts for cloud computing, but their biggest prize, a $10 billion contract, is now held up in the courts. I have Farron Cousins from the Trial Lawyer magazine to talk about it. We seem like we're doing a lot of stories on Amazon lately. This is a story that, oddly enough, at least written corporate media is picking up on it. Great story that actually appeared in the Wall Street Journal and in Mother Jones. Here's the deal. There's this thing called the Jedi Cloud. By its definition, the Jedi Cloud sounds pretty ominous by itself. Right. So Amazon bid on being able to have the Jedi Cloud be something that they take care of and they house and they make all the money on, $10 billion worth of money on it. And now we find out it wasn't a fair fight. We find out that Amazon might have tried to tip the scales of justice where it comes to fair play on this case.
Right. I mean, basically, to strip it down to the bare bones, Amazon essentially had a guy on the inside, a man by the name of Diop Ubi. He worked for Amazon. He leaves Amazon, goes to work for the Defense Department, is there for about a year, and while he's there, he convinces the Defense Department, we need to get into cloud computing, move away from traditional servers, go to cloud computing. Then Mr. Ubi leaves the State Department and goes back to work for Amazon, who just happened at the time they were launching their massive cloud computing. AWS is that division, and they wanted these government contracts. So this guy came from Amazon to the State Department, helped put in the good word for Amazon, tweeted out all kinds of praise for Bezos while he was at the State Department.
It's a lot worse than that.
And blog posts. It's very deep.
Lots worse than that. First of all, let's talk the Jedi Cloud. As I say, it sounds pretty ominous, but it's where the military will store all of their digital information in one place.
Right.
Now, I don't know, that sounds like a good idea, but somebody along the way said, yeah, let's store everything in one place where somebody can hack into it just in one place and make it convenient. But here's what's interesting. Oracle filed this lawsuit. Oracle had a similar program that they were trying to sell. Now, what this cat did that worked for Amazon and then worked for the Defense Department and then worked for Amazon again, what he did is he tried to move the ball. The conflict was ridiculous, but he tried to move the ball to where all of the standards for the contract fit directly into what the standards were at Amazon and varied from the Oracle standards. In the process, I think what's incredible, though, is he actually spied on the competitors while he was working with the government. He got information about competitors that were coming in to try to get the same contract. And, somebody at Amazon said, yeah, this is okay with me. Business as usual. What's your take?
Well, it's interesting because I don't think enough people appreciate the fact that Amazon, the bulk of their profits are coming from these government contracts. This $10 billion one that's up in the air right now for them, this was not the first. It's not going to be the last. But it's what's driving more than 50% of their yearly profits. And as you already pointed out, before they got into this government contract business, they were pulling in a couple billion a year. And then last year, suddenly they're making more than $10 billion a year. And again, more than half of that is from these kinds of contracts. So they have this guy, this Diop Ubi, who goes in there, does everything he can to steer it towards Amazon, spying on the competitors, knowing what they're doing, still being friends with Amazon, hyping Bezos up to the Defense Department, and suddenly Amazon gets awarded the contract until Oracle has to step in and say, wait a minute, something isn't right here. The Defense Department says they did everything properly, but we have all of this info showing that no, Amazon was gaming it from the start.
Okay, so you got the obvious conflict. He works for Amazon, then works for the government, then works for Amazon. He's there as a plant by Amazon. Very clear. Next thing is we find that he's using that position to, as you point out, spy on his competitors. Thirdly, what he's doing is he's moving the standard to a point to where it fits in perfectly with Amazon and way different from Oracle. And then he uses his position really to, this is where it really gets weird. Amazon, as an inducement to him, actually offered to buy a startup company that he owned. In other words, that's it sounds like bribery. I mean, if you take a look at what the complaint is, well, no, we're saying there's a conflict of interest. It's far more than that when you start looking at this. I wonder if this kind of sounds like a payback from Trump kind of too, doesn't it? I mean, if you want to go after Amazon, I mean, Bezos and Trump, you know, not a match made in heaven. And Trump wants to go after Bezos. This is a pretty good vehicle. This is a $10 billion vehicle.
And you couldn't even argue he's doing it politically here. There is plenty of real evidence to show that Amazon should not be awarded this contract. And not even all of it has to do with the conflict of interest here. They just had a massive data breach that took place, I think, the day or two before Black Friday of this past year, 2018, that leaked user data, addresses. Some people may have had their financial information stolen. Are these the people we want controlling the government secrets, you know, the military secrets, all of that in their cloud when they can't even keep our credit card information safe?
That's the bigger issue here, isn't it? Yeah. We're going to have all of this, all the most special military digital secrets in one place, controlled by the company who blew it. Has blown it a couple of times, and now we're saying, yeah, we'll pay you $10 billion to do that.
Right. It's about as reliable as giving it to Facebook.
I don't know which is worse. Despite scientific evidence and impassioned public pleas against the use of a controversial pesticide in Arkansas, the state sided, of course, with the giant chemical company, Monsanto, about its restrictions on weed killer. This is no surprise, is it, Molly?
No.
I'm joined by, we do these stories how often, Molly?
Too often.
Too often, because we saw the same thing happen with Roundup. It's happening right now with Roundup. And unfortunately, with Roundup, it's not only the government, but it's somewhat the judiciary that's making it difficult for us to do anything about it. Right now, there's a case going on in California. I'm looking at what's happening out there. It would scare the bejesus out of you to see the rulings that are coming out of that court.
I believe it.
Yeah. So tell me about dicamba.
Well, this particular situation in Arkansas, last year, Arkansas banned the use of dicamba, which is one of Monsanto's more popular pesticides, especially popular with soybean and cotton growers. But they banned it between April and October after receiving over 1,000 complaints in 2017 of basically crop damage, millions and millions of dollars in crop damage caused by dicamba and what's called its volatility. Basically, it forms into a gas and it spreads. So farmers who have dicamba-resistant crops, who are using seeds made by Monsanto that are resistant to this particular pesticide, want to use this, of course, to kill a particular
But there's an overspray around people around.
And it causes damage to everything, to honeybees, to trees, to gardens, to organic food farmers.
Well, in other words, here's the point. Here's the point. If you're a farmer and you don't want to play ball with Monsanto/Bayer, who in the world wants to? I mean, if you look at their history, who wants to say, yeah, I'm in with Monsanto?
Well, it's like being with the devil.
Well, sometimes you look at their history and you wonder.
Yes.
But here's the point. The point is you got farmers that say, I'm not going to do business with them. So somebody in the middle of 4 plats of land that happens to use dicamba, or it could be Roundup, whatever it is, who uses those seeds, the spray doesn't affect them because the seed is so weird. The seed is such a mutation.
That's scary in and
that
of itself.
Poison doesn't kill the seed, but the poison goes out and hits all the farmers around them. So what happened in Arkansas? Did the legislators come to the aid of the farmer?
Oh, the Fed did first.
Yeah, okay.
As soon as Arkansas passed this ban, it took effect last year. Last year was the first year that was in effect from April to October. Well, that October, the EPA came forward and said, we think it's okay for you soybean and cotton growers who use this Monsanto seed that's resistant to dicamba to go ahead and continue to use this spray. So basically it came up for review again because the Arkansas Plant Board, which is deciding on these rules and restrictions, had a choice at that point. They could either go along with the EPA or they could set new restrictions. But what they decided last week was to go ahead and it's a compromise of sorts. They're still going to have a ban in place that will go from May this time, the end of May, through October. But see, the real problem is everything I've been reading up on this. that's the best time of year to
Yes.
spray this.
Okay.
But then it also spreads worse because it's hot.
It spreads all over the place. It kills everything
poison.
around it. So here, now understand, we're not talking about Roundup,
Right.
we're a huge poison. We're talking about dicamba
Right.
that this company has had for quite some time, by the way.
Looking for uses
They
for
were
it, it
looking
seems.
for uses. Roundup, finally we understand, at least people are paying attention, that Roundup will kill you. It'll
Right.
cause cancer. It causes all types of problems. So they're going soft on Roundup, and they're taking this thing out of their cellar called dicamba. They've had it a long time. They didn't want to use it because they knew the problems with it. So now they're reintroducing dicamba, and they're saying, well, yeah, we kind of, our own documents show us that that Roundup has the potential to cause cancer. Dicamba, there's not enough information out there right now.
We're pretty sure it causes cancer, but we can't.
We think it does, yeah, and we know it destroys property all around the farmer who's using.
Sure.
Again, we're talking about a seed mutation that won't die from poison.
That's unbelievable.
That's
to me.
exactly.
I know. That's how I felt reading this. I
Yeah.
was like, why are you even using these seeds?
Yeah.
Why is this necessary?
Okay, well, this is Monsanto phase 2. And the history that we're seeing is the same history we saw with Roundup. EPA won't do anything because it's like a revolving door. You work for EPA day 1, you go to work for Monsanto the day 2, or Bayer day 2. You get positions in legislature to fight this off. You get positions in regulatory to fight it off. You pay your way for enough years to where they can make enough billions of dollars on dicamba before everybody catches on and says, hey, this is just like Roundup.
Well, it's almost like spice. I know that's kind of a strange comparison, but when spice, which is that synthetic marijuana, was so prevalent
Right.
in convenience stores, all they would do is change the chemical formation of it because only one certain chemical was against the law if you changed the chemical. So it's almost like they were doing the same thing with Monsanto.
Molly, let's keep up with this one. It's going to be another Roundup
Absolutely,
story.
yes. Thanks, Pat.
Every year, 1 million hernia surgeries are performed in the United States. Unfortunately, some mesh implants that are used in these surgeries have caused complications, including infection and organ damage that led to surgeries to correct those problems. If this has happened to you, learn more about the hernia mesh lawsuit by going online to hernia.law or call us for a free consultation about your legal rights.